Hello,
Shavua Tov. How are you? How was your Shabbat?
not so great.
What's the matter?
And my cold is still not gone. On top of that, I said on Friday going to pick up my car at the shop. It didn't happen, anything happened to me except I lost my phone, and
All
that's
right,
a pain. That's a pain in the neck. Apart from that, it was okay.
great. Okay, that's it.
Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
So,
How was your Shabbos?
Shabbos was very nice.
And how was your
Very
speech?
Speech was very good. Ivrit.
They didn't throw shoes at you?
No, no. We're on Kuf.
Yep.
Amid
Mission.
Hamachlif para b'chamor. You do normally, if you buy a chamor and you give cash, so you don't acquire the chamor until you do shich on the chamor, midoraisa. But if you do a kinyan chalipin, where you could be in Montana and acquire something in Montana that you buy in Los Angeles through kinyan chalipin, and you don't have to do mashicha on it. And we'll see why that's important, because the cow gave birth before you actually took possession of it. The question arises, who owns the children of the parah? If you sell a shivcha, you can acquire an eved through kesef. And the moment you give the money, the shivcha is acquired, even if the eved is in the base of Eiling. But we don't know if the eved gave birth before you gave the money or didn't. If the eved had not given birth, so the fetus belongs to the new buyer. If the eved had given birth, the original owner keeps the vlad. So we set up the same arguments between a claimant and nitba, like we've been learning. Ze omer ad shelo mocharti. The Bailim say that the cow or the eved had given birth before I sold it, before the possession changed, so they belong to me. The buyer claims, no, the later occurred after he had acquired it. Yachloku. So they divided. Haylo shnei avodim. Echad gadol v'echad cotton. Person owns two slaves. One was big, one was small. And the purchaser, I bought the big one. And the seller says, I'm not sure. Zocha bagadol. So it's a bori v'shema. The one who bought it knows for sure, and the seller is not misupik. The seller is misupik. Zocha gadol. The purchaser wins out. The purchaser only gets the cotton because the boicher is a bori versus the shema of the purchaser. Ze omer gadol, ze omer cotton. The purchaser says, I bought the cotton. And the seller says, no, it was the cotton. So throughout the Torah, the person who takes the shvua is the one that doesn't want to pay. Yishava hamoicher shakatan mochar, and he gives the cotton, but he has to take a shvua to do that. Ze omer eni odeh v'ze omer eni odeya. If both are tainas shema, so then they divide it. Now, in the cases where we said yachlok, we go back to Abe's question. Let's just see who has the item right now. Who possession is 99% of ownership. Where is the item? And the other party who wants it, he should bring proof and take it. Otherwise, it should remain where it is. What is this achloku business? The cow ran away in a meadow. It's in neither's possession. Or shivchanaim the kaimi besimta. Simta is like a corner of the Rishus Harabim, where the shivcha is present in neither of their possessions. Good luck, Walter. We're on Kuf.
Shavua Tov, Ernie. You had a beautiful Shabbos. Sorry to this.
Yeah.
Good.
The nukma cheskas tomorrow kamo. Yeah, but let's just keep the item. They were there because they were originally with the owner. So keep them with the chazak of the owner. The levi idich. Let the other party bring proof if he wants to change ownership. So the reason our Mishnah says Yachloku, Amani Sumchasuda, Amr Maman Amutu Besofik Cholkin below Shvua. That they divided without we said the Moicher taking a Shvua that it's mine and it should remain mine. But the Chachamim, according to the Widdik Mor's answer, would say, Ein Echanami, leave the Para or the Shivcha Becheskas Demara, leave it in the original owner's possession until the other guy brings proof. Now, maybe, says the Gemara, maybe when neither party is sure exactly that they're correct, but if it's a time of Bori V'Bori, who says that Sumcha says Miyama that they yachloiku? Maybe he agrees that the owner should take a shvua and he keeps it. Amar Rav Baravonu in Amar Sumchas I feel V'Bori V'Bori. So Rabbah says no. Sumchas holds yachloiku no matter what, whether it's Shema V'Shema, whether it's Bori V'Bori. No, Rava disagrees. Rava Amar Lo'olam Ki Amar Sumchas Shema V'Shema. Alva V'Bori V'Bori Lo Amar. But he didn't say that by Bori V'Bori. In Bori V'Bori, he would have to take a shvua. Utani, and according to Rava, you have to amend the Mishnah. Ze Omer Shema Ad Shalom Acharti. The reason why the Mishnah ends up with Yachloku is because it's not Ad Shalom Acharti that he knows for sure that the cow or the Evet gave birth before he sold it. It's only he was unsure, maybe, Shema, the Ze Omer Shema. That's why you divide it. But if it wasn't for that, if it was Bori V'Bori, the seller would take a shvuah and keep whatever he was claiming. So Tanan, so let's see our Mishnah. Ze Omer Eni Yodeh, Ze Omer Eni Yodeh. The Seifa actually said that when neither party knows for sure, Yachloiku. So the way Rava is learning that B'Bori V'Bori Lo Amar, so Bishlam al Rava, Mid the Seifa Shema V'Shema, Reisha Nami Shema V'Shema. both cases are Shema v'Shema. That's why Yachloku. Ella, and usually a Mishnah is consistent. Ella Rabba Ravuna to Amar in Amar Sumchus Afilu Bori Ubori. But if the din is like Rabba, that Sumchus holds Yachloku, even Bori Vubori, well, Hashta Bori Ubori or Yachloku Shema V'Boy? So why would you need both cases? Just teach me Bori Vubori. I would know certainly in the case of Shema V'Shema that Yachloku. So the Gemara says no. For that reason alone, imashum halal area, because Tana Seifa l'glui reisa. Sometimes a Seifa is like that to show you exactly what the reisha means. Shaloi tomar, because maybe you shouldn't say reisha shema v'shema v'bori v'bori lo. Tana Seifa shema v'shema also. Echlad the reisha also bori v'bori. If you don't have Tanat, our Mishnah. Zeh omer gadol l'zeh makot. One says, I sold you the big field. Yeah, and the Moicher says, I sold you the small field. Ishava Moicher shekatan machar. So we say the Moicher takes the shvur that he sold the cotton, and the buyer only gets the cotton. Bishmal Rava Amar Ki Amar Sumcha Shema V'Shema. Aval Bori V'Bori Lo Amar Mishum Hachi Ishava. So that's why there's a shvur by Bori V'Bori. Ela L'Rabba Baravuna Amar In Amar Sumcha Safilu Bori V'Bori. I understand, says the Gemara, Rabba holds Yachloku no matter what, whether it's Shema v'Shema bar. So what's the shvur doing there? Right? In Amar Sumchus Afilu Bar Amar Yishav Moicher Yachloku in Boilei. Just to say Yachloku. So the Gemara says here, Moide Sumchus Heiche de Ika Shvur Deraisa Kedem Inu Memar Kama. Here is a case where you needed a shvur for something else, and the reason we say here he has to take a shvur, it's a Gilgul shvur, because we're going to learn sometimes if you're required to take a shvur on another subject, we can force you to take a shvur on the other subject. And therefore, it's only because of that the Mishnah says it that way, that he has to take a shvur. But if it wasn't for the fact that he had a Gilgul shvur, that he needed another reason to take a shvur, it would say Achloka without a shvur. So one of the cases of our Mishnah, he had two avodim, a big one, a small one, and the Moicher claims he sold the small one. And we say he takes a shvur that he sold the small one. Amai Shava. Now, the Gemara has a Havamina that this is a Moide b'mikzah shvua, right? Reuven claims that Shimon owes him $100. And Shimon says, no, you only lent me $50. So he's a Moide b'mikzah, then he has to take a shvua. But they're both talking about apples and apples, money, dollars. But in a case where Reuven says, I gave you 100 apples, and Shimon says, no, you gave me 50 pears, so there's no shvuah. It's not a moed b'mikchas. Because Masha Ta'ano lo hoidelo. He's claiming an Evet Gadol, Masha hoidelo lo ta'ano. And he's admitting it was a small Evet. And they're two different things. The Od, this is also a case of hilachu. If the one who's being claimed against admits and doesn't prevent it, and he says, here, take it. Is that there is no Gilgul Shvur. The Od, and the final nail of the coffin, Ein Yishban al Avodim. Avodim are hukshu l'karka. We don't take a shvur regarding karka, only by metaltalin. Omer Rav, b'toanot mei. The claim is not for the goof of the Evid. It's the valuation money-wise of the Evid. The gadol was worth $100, and the katan was worth $50. So the debate is in the same min. It's not a problem of mashatana lahoidalo. Dmei evet gadol, dmei evet katan, dmei sadik gadol, dmei sadik katan. Hello? Hello? Is who? Jonah? Yeah, I'm in Israel right now, and I'm giving a Daf Yomi shir. Can you call me back in 30 minutes?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. Call me back in 30 minutes. Ushmuel Omar, Bitono, Ksus Evet Gadol. It was the garment of an Evet Gadol, and Ksus Evet Gadol. Or in the case of the field, Oimre Stek Doila, the sheaves, the bundled wheat sheaves of a big field versus Oimre Stek Doila. Those things are metaltalin, and they're the same items. So there's no problem taking a shvua, and there's no problem because it's the same min. Freak the Gemara, it's not so. Ksus mashatana lohoylo. One is a big garment, one's a small garment, two different garments. Mashoylo lotano. So kida amrav papa be the life. This is these garments are stuck together. So they are, in a sense, the same min. Hachanami be the life. So Kashle the Rebbe Hoshaya. Hoshaya had a problem with this answer. Midi ksus ktani? Our Mishnah doesn't say ksus, it says eved ktani. How could you be mitared to the Mishnah to say we're talking about the clothing of the eved? The Mishnah says eved. Klamar Hoshaya, kagon shetano eved biksuso. You're claiming the eved gedolah with his garment. V'sada be'omreha, and the field with its sheaves in it. And we have this principle of time. Normally, you don't take a shvuah on an eved, but you may take a shvuah on the garment. So since you're required to take a shvuah on the garment, zoikikin, that's called the principle of zoikikin. You can revolve the shvuah on the eved, even though normally we don't take shvuahs on avodim. Freak the Gemara, the akati ksus, we have the same problem. One garment is big, one garment is bad. Mashatanu lo mashoylo lo. So Amar of Papa b'delaifi. We're talking about each eved wore a big and a small garment that were connected. So kashalei l'Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes said, according to him, you were mischayev shvu on one taina, where you have the zoikikin. So then zoikikin also lashmeinim. So then the whole mission is to teach me this din of zoikikin. We don't need it. Tanina, we have a beferish dik Mishnah. Zoikikin hanechosim she'en la nachrayis, as a nechosim she'esh la nachrayis. Nechosim that have achrayis is like karka. The chosim that doesn't have achrayis, where there's no guarantee, is like metaltalin. So if you have a debate between two parties regarding metaltalin, which require a shvuah, you can roll that shvuah in if you have a debate regarding karka, even though normally we don't take a shvuah on karka. Now, if you're telling me, Rav Papa, that the whole point of our Mishnah is to teach me that, then we have this brisa separately. Why would we need our Mishnah to teach me the same thing? It's superfluous. The Amar of Sheshes Hamani Kid Rav Meir. The Amar Abda K'metatlan Dami. You know what? Our Mishnah is like Rav Meir, who holds that Avodim are not like karka, but rather they're like metathlin. And there you can take a shvua directly on the Eved, like regular metathlin. And you needed the other case about zoikikim. Still freak the Gemara, vakati, mashatan lo'idlo, mashatan lo'tano. Right? He claimed the Eved Gadol, and he admits only to an Eved Katan. So that you could say, that you could resolve. Shesover like Rav Gamliel. Maybe Reb Meir also holds like Rav Gamliel. What's this? Reuven claims he loaned Shimon 100 bushels of wheat. And Shimon said, no, he only gave me 50 bushels of barley. So Potter, you don't have to take a shvua because Moed b'miktas doesn't work because it's apples and oranges. Rebbe Gamliel Machayev. Because the value of a bushel of barley is less than the value of a bushel of wheat. So it's like a Moed b'miktas. And it's the same din by an Eved Katan and an Eved Gadol. Fine. Akati, there's still a shaila of Hilichu. He's ready to give the Eved Katan right away. That's called Hilich. So there we said also there's no Shvuah. Omerava, there's no Hilich. Here, after the Kat Liyadeh, there had to be a delay because the owner had cut the hand of the Eved off. So he couldn't give the Eved the way it is. First, he has to pay money, 30 shkalim, to the Eved. It was not in a status that he could give it right away. Or the Sadeh is also not in a state of Hilich, ready to give as is. He had dug some ditches there. He has to fill them up in order to give the field in a proper way. So it was not ready to go. This Inyan is just the opposite. Rav Meir holds opposite of what we said. Gazal behema. Person stole an animal, and his kina got older before he returned it. Or he stole an eved, avodim his kinu. Mishalim kishas agzela. When you want to return as a gazlan, you pay what the value was when you stole it. The behemoth was worth $1,000. Now it's older, it's $700 worth. You have to pay the $1,000. But Meir Omer, ba'avodim, or b'lareshachal fanecha. By an eved, you just give the eved back. We don't care that he got older. And it's considered a good return. Which is mashma then, that by an eved, if they went down in price, you don't have to pay the original price. You just return the eved. So, Ali Kasha, Kidamachli for Rabba Baravua. Rabba Baravua had switched the, who said what? The Tani, Rav Meir Omer Mishal Kishas Agzela. It's, Rav Meir says that they keep their value. The Chacham says Hilech. You can just give him the Eved back. Now, we can ask another question, Rav Sheshes. Mimai discover Rav Meir Makshin and Karkali Eved. We asked the Kasha regarding this comparison of Karkala Eved, my Eved Nishboin, Av Karka Nishboin, just like for an Eved, as he held, an Eved was Matafel and Av Karka Nishboin, Dilma I Eved with Nishboin. Maybe Rav Meir doesn't take the jump to Karka. Yeah, you take a shwar and Eved, about Karka low. So where's this low shlakatite? That doesn't make sense. The Tanya. Our Mishnah, a machlif par b'chamor. You do a kinyan chalipin. I do mashich on the para here, and you own the chamor there. But the para gave birth. Or you did the act of kinyan on the chamor, and you acquire the para somewhere else, and it gave birth. And they're debating when did it give birth, before the sale or after. Or the same thing with the shivcha. Zomer b'shusi yolda. One says, it gave birth when it was already in my possession. Vizeh shoisik. The other side doesn't know, he's quiet. So the one who made the claim is Zoiche. Now, Zemer en Yodeh, Zemer en Yodeh, Yechloku. If they both don't know, they divide it. If they're both buried, Zemer b'shusi, Zemer b'shusi, each one feels the din is with them, and it happened buried. So like we said before, the one who doesn't want to pay the greater amount, the seller takes a shvua that the par had already given birth, or that the par had given birth, and then the sale took place. So really, the children belong to him. And why does the moicher take the shvua if he should call nishban shebeton nishban v'lo mishamim? That's the Reb Meir. The Chachamim are ein yishboin lo al avodim v'lo al karkos. The Chachamim argue and say there's no shvua at all because there's no shvua taking avodim and karkos. And since the Chachamim say that, lav michlad Reb Meir savar nishboin on both. If the Chachamim argue, they're arguing on both on the Eved and the Karka. So the Gemara says, "Mimai, that's no proof." Dilma kishem ka'amrulei, right? Kihechi the odislan bekarkos or the nami ba'avodim. Just like you admitted by the Karka where you don't take a shvua, at least admit to us by avodim that they do take a shvua. Teda, this, and that's true. Shekay, it's not. Rameir Emor, Rameir Oimer, Yesh Dvarim Shen Karka. There are some things that are like karka regarding a shvua, ve'ein karka, but not mamish like karka. Ve'ein chachamim marim lo. Chacham did not agree. Ketzah. Eser gefarim to unos masarki lacha. I sold you, or gave you, or I sold you 10 grape clusters full of grapes. And the buyer says, I gave you 5. Rameir Mechayev, Rameir says there's a shvua because the lechura, we're talking about wine bushes that are still connected to the ground. Now, but the grapes can be plucked. So it's not necessarily karka. So you could take a shvu on the grapes. No. If it's still connected to the ground, it's like karka. You don't take a shvu on karka. We're talking about anavi ma'ondas libotzer ikbinayim. The machlokas is grapes ready to be harvested. Simple. Reb Meir holds, even though you haven't physically harvested them, since they're ready to be harvested, it's as if it's as if it's separated from the ground already. Umar Chacham say lav kibtzuras damim. You don't, and you cannot take a shvur because it's connected to the karka. El oilam Rabbi Shaya. So we don't learn like Rav Sheshes. We learn like Rabbi Shaya. Ude kashalach. And we asked the kasha zoikekin, why do we have to be taught this din of a Gilgal Shvua? We have a fresh take of rice about it. Still, it's true. We need it to be repeated here. Because Salkatai the Chamia might have thought, Ksus Eved ke Eved Dami. The garments of an Eved is like the Eved. Oimrei Sode ke Sode Dami. Sheaves in a field is like the field. And therefore you don't take a Shvua Kamash Malon, that no. You can consider them as separate. Each party doesn't know. We say achloiku. Hamani sumchas. Shomer mom and amotu b'safik cholkin. Not amotu mechaver lavaraya. Ema seifa. Zeomer b'shusi v'zeomer b'shusi. we do take a shvua. Shavra moicher shebishus yoda. And Rabbi Rav Huna said in Amar Sumchas Afilu Bari Ubari, Amai Shava Moicher, Echloikim Boy, you should say they divided. Moida Sumchas Heke the Ikat Shvua Deraisa. If there's a Shvua Deraisa on another part of the argument, like we said, the Katal Yade Kidarabba, where the Evid couldn't do Hilech, the owner couldn't give the Evid right away because he had cut off his hand, and he has to pay. There's no immediate return. There's no hilech. So there was a chiyuv shvua, even according to Summas. Amachar zeisav la'etzim. Person had an olive orchard, and they're old. They're not giving a lot of olives anymore. So he sold them for wood value. And meanwhile, also, these trees gave some olives. So who gets to keep the olives? Because the buyer bought it mainly for wood. So if the olives that were made are inferior and they only produce pachas mervius l'saw, less of revius oil per saw, so harei shabalazesim. So it belongs to the person who bought the trees, because the seller is not makbid. Also revius l'saw, but if the quality of the olives were such that it made a revius of shemen per saw, ze'omer zeisi godlu. The one who bought the trees will make the claim, it's my trees that produce these. Vizeh, the one who owns the land, because he's selling the trees, not the land. Vizeh says, Artsi Godla, these olives got their nourishment from my land. So then Yachloku, then they divided. Shotaf Nar, Zesav. There was a river overfled its banks, and it dumped the trees of one person, washed them away, and washed the trees into his neighbor's field. And then olives were plucked from them. Or Lachora, they actually, I guess, went in there and they sort of took root in the friend's land. Zoimer Zesi Godlo. These are my trees. The olives that are grown are mine. Zoimer Artsi Godlo, but it needed land. So again, Yachloku. So Hechidami, what's exactly the case? Here we have a seller of the olive trees. Ida Amarle Kotzla Alter. If the seller told the buyer, cut these trees down right away, and he didn't, who cares how much olives? The guy should have cut it down right away. He didn't. So in the meantime, there were some olives that grow. It should be kept by the owner of the land. If you told him, listen, cut the trees down whenever you want, so then I feel is not in the balas. Who cares how much oil it produces? It should accrue to the owner of the guy who bought the trees. So lo tzricha, the case is the Amar Lastoma. He didn't give many instructions. So in a regular, where there were no instructions, the seller won't care if the amount of olives or the quality of the olives were so bad that it didn't make at least a revius. So he was moichel. So then the guy who bought the trees can keep those olives. But Revi is kapti inshi. But if it's meant, there's enough olives, or the quantity of olives are good enough that it provided a Revi, he would be makbid, he's allowed to keep it. Okay. We'll stop here. So we're gonna learn tomorrow at 8 in the morning, hopefully. Because I'm going to Yerushalayim today. I should have a window at 6 o'clock to teach. If not, I'll send a message in the Daf Yomi. But
Can we,
we plan to teach it at 8 o'clock in the morning.
can we do it 6:05? Because just coming back from shul, I just hope to get back on time.
6:05. 8 o'clock. Yeah, okay, 6:05.
8:05. Okay.
Hey,
Absolutely.
How was Shabbos? How was your drosha in shul?
Beautiful, beautiful. We had a nice kiddush.
Yeah.
And I gave Moshe, I said it's a zchus to speak. It's called Heichal Bronner. I mentioned that I knew Professor Bronner and Rabbi Bronner, and I davened near them for many years. So Moshe was happy.
Okay, good. All right, Ernie. Shkoyach.